Welcome back to the sleepy Geographer channel, a quiet corner where the body reveals its secrets slowly, fact by fact, heartbeat by heartbeat. Tonight, we begin our journey into the most personal of landscapes, the human heart. We start not with complex anatomy, but with its most constant gift, its rhythm. Before we delve deeper, I wonder where you are listening from. Perhaps you are lying in a quiet room, or maybe listening on an evening walk. Wherever you are, take a moment to feel the gentle, quiet pulse of your own body. There is no need to search for it. Simply know that it is there, as it always has been. If these quiet explorations of your inner world bring you comfort, I would be so grateful if you might gently tap the like button and subscribe. To those already part of our community, thank you. Your presence is a steady and welcome rhythm here. So let us turn our attention inward to the silent, muscular artist residing within the cradle of your ribs. How does it maintain its endless rhythmic dance? The heart does not announce its presence with fanfare, does not seek attention. Instead, it works with a patience that outlasts even the most steadfast geological features, a constant, soft drumming that is the very soundtrack to our existence. It is the first and last music we will ever know. This rhythm is so deeply woven into the fabric of life that we use its language to describe our very essence. We speak of the heartbeat of a city or the pulse of a forest. We instinctively understand that a steady rhythm signifies life, presence, and being. And this universal rhythm begins not at birth, but in the profound, quiet darkness of the womb. Fact 1. Deep within the warm, sheltered world before birth, your heart began its work before it was even fully formed. A mere 22 days after conception, when you were no larger than a grain of rice, a tiny clustered group of cells began to contract. This was the first spark. A faint, fluid flutter, a rhythmic whisper that would gradually strengthen into the definitive beat that defines your life. From that moment, it has never once taken a full, complete rest. Consider the sheer constancy of that. From a single microscopic pulse, a lifetime of rhythm unfolds. Fact 2. The average human heart beats approximately 100,000 times in a single day. Let that number settle in the mind. 100,000 individual contractions. Each one a wave of pressure, a gentle push that sends life coursing through many thousands of miles of arteries, veins, and capillaries. It is a daily marathon run in silence, a symphony of 100,000 individual notes played for an audience of one. And if the scale of a single day feels immense, then the span of a lifetime becomes almost astronomical, a number so vast it borders on the philosophical. Fact 3. Over the course of an average human life, the heart will beat more than 2.5 billion times, 2.5 billion pulses, each one a testament to a relentless muscular perseverance. It is a rhythm that carries us from childhood to old age, through moments of joy and sorrow, through stillness and action, a loyal drummer keeping time through the entire story of a life. To power this ceaseless, vital motion, the heart is a furnace of its own, constantly burning fuel to sustain its own rhythm. Fact 4. Every day, the heart generates and consumes its own weight in a molecule called adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. Think of ATP as the fundamental currency of energy within every cell. The heart, then, is both a thrifty and prolific engine. It must produce and spend its entire mass in this energetic currency each day just to continue its work. It is a daily cycle of creation and expenditure, a quiet, metabolic miracle happening deep within your chest. And perhaps the most profound fact of all is that this rhythm is its own. It needs no external conductor to begin its song. Fact 5. The heart does not require a command from the brain to beat. It possesses its own intrinsic electrical system, a natural built-in pacemaker that sets its own steady tempo. This means that, even separated from the nervous system, a human heart will continue to beat all on its own. It carries its own music within its very tissues. It is an autonomous, loyal companion, a self-sufficient world within your world. So, as you lie there now, listening to the sound of this recording or the quiet of your own room, you can perhaps feel a faint pulse in your wrist, your neck, or simply become aware of the gentle rising and falling of your chest. That is your unseen drummer, the rhythm that began before you were born, the rhythm that has already beat billions of times on your behalf. There is no need to count the beats, no need to analyze the pace. Simply, let the knowledge of this constant, loyal presence soothe you. Let your own breathing slow to meet its rhythm, in and out, a gentle tide guided by the heart's steady drum. Let this rhythm be the anchor for your thoughts tonight, a single constant point in the drifting sea of sleep. However busy the day has been, however scattered your thoughts may feel, your heart has been there all along, keeping a steady, simple beat. It is the first rhythm, and it will be the last. But for now, it is just a gentle, reassuring presence in the dark, a lullaby written in muscle and nerve, played just for you. And so we have met the unseen drummer, the constant rhythm that accompanies us from our first moment to our last. But every rhythm has a beginning, every great river a source. Tonight we journey back, far beyond memory, to the quiet, dark warmth of the womb, to witness the first spark from which this lifelong rhythm ignites. Imagine a landscape of profound darkness, not empty, but full of potential, a silent, aquatic world. Here you were once a tiny, curved form, no larger than a lentil. It is in this most intimate of spaces that the most important music of your life was about to begin its first tentative notes. Fact 6. The human heart does not begin as the complex four-chambered organ we know. It starts its existence as a simple, humble tube. Formed from a layer of cells known as the mesoderm, this primordial heart tube is the most elementary design for a river of life. It is a testament to nature's elegant economy that from such a straightforward beginning, a single, pulsating vessel, such profound complexity would eventually unfold. But this simple tube holds a miraculous secret within its very cells, a kind of biological magic that sets the stage for everything to come. Fact 7. The cells of this early heart tube possess a quality known as automaticity. This is the innate, rhythmic ability to contract without any external signal or command from a brain which does not yet exist. It is as if each cell carries a tiny, silent metronome waiting for the moment to start its pendulum swing. This is not a learned behavior, but an intrinsic, pre-written instruction in the code of life itself, a deep, cellular desire to beat. And then the moment arrives, a silent spark in the dark. Fact 8. Approximately 22 days after fertilization, that spontaneous cellular desire finds its collective voice. The entire heart tube begins to contract. It is not yet the familiar lub-dub we recognize. It is a slower, more primitive peristaltic wave, a gentle, squeezing pulse that travels the length of the tube, pushing the earliest blood cells along their way. This is the first heartbeat, a flutter so faint it would be undetectable to the human ear, but within that tiny, watery universe, it is as profound as the first thunderclap of a new world. This initial rhythmic pulse is not a rehearsal. It is essential, for the growing embryo cannot wait for the heart to be perfected. Life must be fueled now. Fact 9. This first beat is critical because the embryo is growing at an astonishing rate. It quickly becomes too large to rely on the passive diffusion of nutrients. It needs a dynamic system to actively deliver oxygen and building blocks to its rapidly dividing cells. The heart tube answers this call, becoming the first functional organ in the entire developing body. Before a proper brain has formed, before the buds of limbs have appeared, the heart is already at work. It is the dedicated steward, ensuring the foundation is laid for all that is to come. But the simple tube does not remain a tube for long. The relentless, graceful force of growth takes hold, initiating a beautiful architectural dance. Fact 10. The heart tube does not simply enlarge. It begins to twist and loop upon itself, folding into a shape that resembles a tangled knot. This process, called cardiac looping, which happens around the 4th week, is one of the most critical and precisely orchestrated steps in our entire embryonic development. This elegant geometric folding is what begins to position the future chambers of the heart, the atria and ventricles, into their proper places, transforming a simple tube into the beginnings of a complex 4-chambered pump. And as it loops, the heart itself begins a slow migration to its final home. Fact 11. The heart does not begin its journey in the chest. It initially forms in the head region of the embryo, near the developing brain. As the body grows and folds, the heart gradually migrates downward, settling into its final protected position behind the breastbone. This slow, deliberate journey ensures it is perfectly centered to serve the entire body, a testament to the beautiful, logical choreography of our formation. Through all this movement and change, the rhythm continues, growing stronger and more coordinated. Fact 12. In these earliest days, the embryonic heart beats at a remarkably calm and steady pace of about 60 to 70 beats per minute. It is a measured, patient rhythm, not yet influenced by the hormones or nerves that will later make it race or slow. It is the heart's pure, unadulterated tempo, the baseline rhythm of a new life being built, layer by delicate layer. So as you lie there, listening to the steady rhythm in your chest, remember its origin. It began not as a mighty drum, but as a gentle, twisting tube in a dark, warm sea. A tube that felt a spontaneous, innate urge to pulse, a spark that became a flutter that became a loop, and a loop that began a journey to become the loyal companion you know today. That first spark, lit 22 days into your existence, has never been extinguished. It has only grown stronger and more resilient. The rhythm you feel now is the direct descendant of that very first, quiet contraction. It is a lullaby that started in the depths of time, your time, and has been playing for you and only you ever since. Let the memory of that first spark comfort you. You were born from rhythm and you are sustained by it still. And so we have followed the heart's journey from a single spark to a looping, traveling rhythm, finally settling into its central home within the body. But this vital pulsing artist cannot be left exposed. It requires a sanctuary, a stronghold to shield its soft, rhythmic muscle from the jolts and pressures of the world. Tonight we explore the elegant fortress that nature has built around it. Imagine the heart not as an isolated organ, but as a great, soft-spoken monarch, a ruler whose continuous steady work is the very life of the nation it governs. And every monarch, no matter how powerful, requires a citadel. For the human heart, this citadel is the ribcage, a graceful yet resilient fortress of bone. This fortress is not a single, solid wall, but a dynamic and intelligent structure, designed for both protection and movement. Fact 13. The heart resides within a bony compartment called the mediastinum, nestled securely between the two lungs. It is not centered directly in the middle of the chest, as many imagine, but lies slightly to the left, its apex tilted forward to tap against the inner wall of the chest. This position is why we most strongly feel our heartbeat on the left side, a gentle, internal knocking from within its bony chamber. The primary shield, the front wall of this fortress, is a remarkable flat bone known as the sternum, or breastbone. Fact 14. The sternum is a dagger-shaped bone that forms the central front of the rib cage. It acts as a personal suit of armor, deflecting direct impacts that could otherwise crush the delicate tissues of the heart and lungs. It is a strong, resilient plate, but it is not inflexible. It possesses a slight give, allowing it to absorb and dissipate force, much like a shield that bends but does not break. Connecting to this central shield are the elegant, curved arches that complete the enclosure, the ribs. Fact 15. The heart is cradled and protected by the ribs, specifically the second to the sixth pairs. These are not static bars, but living, flexible bones that curve from the spine around to the sternum. This classic cage design is a masterpiece of biological engineering, strong enough to protect, yet flexible enough to expand with every breath you take, allowing the lungs to fill and the heart to beat without constraint. But a fortress is more than its front gate. The heart is shielded from all sides, including from behind. Fact 16. While the sternum guards the front, the heart's posterior is protected by the sturdy, bony bodies of the thoracic vertebrae, the 12 bones of the upper and middle back. This means the heart is encased in a robust, three-dimensional box of bone, the sternum in front, the ribs on the sides, and the spinal column behind. It is a comprehensive defense, leaving no major flank undefended. The design of this citadel is not merely passive, it is integrated with the very machinery of life. Fact 17. The spaces between the ribs are filled with the intercostal muscles. These muscles are the active custodians of the fortress walls. With every breath you take, they contract and relax, expertly lifting and lowering the rib cage to facilitate the flow of air. This constant rhythmic movement demonstrates that this fortress is not a prison, but a living, breathing guardian that participates in the vital act of respiration. And what of the passages that must lead in and out of any stronghold? The great vessels, the aorta, the vena cava, are the vital supply routes, and they too are granted safe passage. Fact 18. Where the mighty aorta, the great artery, arcs out of the top of the heart, it passes directly behind a joint in the sternum. This strategic positioning offers it additional protection at its most critical departure point. The body ensures that the highways of life are guarded at the very gates of the citadel. This entire structure is not a random assembly. It is the product of eons of evolutionary refinement. Fact 19. The rib cage is an ancient and evolutionarily conserved structure found in all terrestrial vertebrates. Its fundamental design, a protective bony enclosure for the heart and lungs, has been perfected over hundreds of millions of years. The human rib cage is thus a legacy of deep time, a proven design that has safeguarded the rhythm of life through countless generations. Finally, it is important to remember that this fortress is not a cold, isolated vault. It is a living, feeling part of you. Fact 20. The sternum and ribs are rich with nerve endings and bone marrow. They are living tissue, supplied with blood and capable of repair. If you gently press your fingers to the center of your chest, you can feel the solidity of the sternum. This is not a distant wall. It is your own living shield, intimately connected to the soft, rhythmic pulse it so faithfully protects. So, as you lie in the quiet darkness, you can picture this elegant architecture, the gentle curve of your ribs, the central plate of your breastbone, the sturdy column of your spine, all working in silent concert to cradle the steady drummer within. Your heartbeat is not a vulnerable sound in an empty space. It is a rhythm echoing in a hall of bone, a protected king in a graceful, breathing castle. Let this image comfort you. You carry within you not just a rhythm, but a sanctuary, a fortress built just for you where your heart can beat its lifelong song in peace and safety. We have seen the heart's first spark in the warm darkness of the womb, and we have learned of the bony fortress that keeps it safe. But what of the heart itself? What is the inner architecture of this most vital of organs? Tonight, we step across the threshold, past the rhythm, and into the quiet, dynamic rooms within. Imagine the heart not as a simple drum, but as a house, a peaceful, purposeful house with 4 distinct chambers, each with its own task, its own character, working in a perfect, silent sequence. This is not a house of noise and chaos, but of ordered flow, a timeless dance between reception and dispatch. The house is divided into 2 sides, right and left, separated by a sturdy, muscular wall called the septum. Each side contains 2 rooms, an upper chamber and a lower chamber. The upper rooms are the atria, the quiet, welcoming spaces. The lower rooms are the ventricles, the strong, purposeful engines. Let us first be welcomed into the upper rooms. The atria. Fact 21. The word atrium is Latin for entrance hall or court, and this is precisely their role. They are the receiving parlors of the heart, designed not for raw power, but for graceful acceptance. Their walls are thinner and more delicate, as their task is to gently gather blood, and then, with a soft, coaxing contraction, guide it down into the ventricles below. They are the quiet antechambers where the journey pauses ever so briefly before the next great push. The right atrium holds a particularly special place, for it is here that the great, homecoming river of the body empties its waters. Fact 22. The right atrium receives all the blood returning from its long journey through the body. This blood, having delivered its oxygen to every cell from the tip of your toe to the depths of your brain, is now dark, tired, and longing to be refreshed. It flows into the right atrium through 2 large veins, the superior and inferior vena cava. This chamber is the homecoming hall, a place of quiet gathering for the weary traveler. Once the right atrium is full, it performs its gentle duty. Fact 23. The atria contract not with a forceful shout, but with a finishing sigh. This contraction is often described as the atrial kick, a soft, final nudge that efficiently empties almost all the blood from the atrium into the ventricle. It is a subtle yet crucial motion that primes the pump, ensuring the ventricle is filled to capacity before its own, much mightier, contraction begins. Now, let us descend into the lower chambers, the ventricles. These are the powerhouses of the house. Fact 24. The ventricles are the true engines of the heart. Their walls are massively thick and muscular, especially the left ventricle, which is the strongest chamber of all. Where the atria were designed for reception, the ventricles are built for expulsion. Their sole purpose is to generate enough force to launch blood on its next great journey. One to the lungs, the other to the entire body. The 2 ventricles, though neighbors, have very different tasks, and their strength reflects this. Fact 25. The right ventricle is a traveler's gate. It receives the tired blood from the right atrium and pumps it out through the pulmonary artery on a short, crucial journey to the lungs. There, in the delicate air sacs, the blood will release its carbon dioxide and be replenished with a fresh breath of oxygen. Because this journey to the nearby lungs requires less force, the walls of the right ventricle are thinner than those of its left counterpart. The left ventricle, however, is the mighty archway to the world. Fact 26. The left ventricle is the most powerful chamber in the entire heart. Its muscular wall is 3 times thicker than that of the right ventricle. Its responsibility is immense to pump the newly oxygenated, bright red blood out through the aorta, the body's largest artery, and into the vast, branching network of vessels that reach every single part of you. From the crown of your head to the soles of your feet, the left ventricle's mighty push is what sends life surging through your entire landscape. This beautiful, coordinated sequence, the gentle atrial fill, the soft atrial kick, the powerful ventricular squeeze, happens in a continuous, flowing cycle. Fact 27. The entire cardiac cycle, the filling and emptying of all 4 chambers, takes less than 1 second to complete at rest. It is a swift, efficient, and endlessly repeating ballet. The atria fill as the ventricles contract, and the atria contract as the ventricles relax. It is a dance of perfect alternation, a rhythm within the rhythm, ensuring a smooth, non-stop flow. And so, within the fortress of your ribs, this 4-roomed house is always active, yet always peaceful. The atria, the quiet receiving parlors, and the ventricles, the powerful engines, work in their timeless partnership. One side sends blood to the lungs for renewal, the other sends it out to nourish the body. It is a perfect, self-contained circuit of giving and receiving. As you drift towards sleep, you can picture this quiet, orderly house within you. There is no rush, no struggle, only a gentle gathering in the upper rooms, followed by a confident, powerful push from below. A steady, rhythmic exchange that has continued since your birth. Your heart is not a chaotic place. It is a house of peaceful, purposeful rhythm, a sanctuary of flow within your very core. We have now walked through the heart's 4 quiet rooms, the receiving atria and the powerful ventricles. We have felt their rhythmic dance of filling and emptying. But any house with multiple rooms requires doorways, and in a house where the flow must only ever move in one direction, these are not ordinary doors. They are silent, vigilant guardians. Tonight, we meet the heart's gentle, yet steadfast doors, its valves. Imagine the constant pulsing current of blood within the heart's chambers. For this system to work, the flow must be disciplined. It must move from atrium to ventricle and then out to the great arteries without ever turning back. A single moment of reversal would cause chaos, a turbulent eddy disrupting the entire graceful circuit. This is the sacred duty of the valves, to ensure a silent, one-way procession. There are 4 main doors in this house, and they work in perfect, alternating pairs. The first set of doors guards the passageways between the atria and the ventricles. They are known as the atrioventricular valves, or the AV valves for short. Their design is one of elegant simplicity. Fact 28. The tricuspid valve stands between the right atrium and the right ventricle. Its name comes from its 3 delicate, leaf-like flaps of tissue called cusps. These cusps are not pushed open by force. They are gently floated apart by the pressure of blood filling the ventricle. Their purpose is to wait and then to seal perfectly. Fact 29. On the left side, between the left atrium and the left ventricle, resides the mitral valve. This valve has only 2 cusps, which gives it a distinct, graceful appearance often compared to a bishop's hat, from which its name is derived. It is the gateway for freshly oxygenated blood, ensuring it moves efficiently into the heart's most powerful chamber. The function of these AV valves is a thing of quiet beauty. They are the embodiment of passive, flawless engineering. Fact 30. When the ventricles are relaxed and filling, the pressure within them is low. The higher pressure of the blood in the atria simply floats these delicate doors open, allowing blood to stream downward. But when the ventricles contract, a dramatic change occurs. The sudden, powerful surge of pressure from below forces the flaps of the tricuspid and mitral valves upward, snapping them shut. This is the event that produces the first, softer sound of the heartbeat, the familiar lub. It is not the sound of the valves clapping, but of their edges meeting and tensing, a soft, firm closure that echoes through the chest. With the AV doors securely shut, the ventricles contract fully, building pressure until it is time to dispatch the blood on its journey. This is the moment for the second set of doors to open. Fact 31. These are the semilunar valves. The pulmonary valve at the exit of the right ventricle and the aortic valve at the exit of the left ventricle. Semilunar means half moon, a name they earn from their unique, beautiful shape. Unlike the leaf-like cusps of the AV valves, the semilunar valves are composed of 3 delicate, pocket-like pouches. Their operation is equally elegant and passive. Fact 32. As the ventricles contract, the pressure forces the semilunar valves open, their delicate pouches flattening against the walls of the arteries as blood surges past. The moment the ventricular contraction ends and the pressure drops, the story changes. The blood now in the great arteries immediately tries to flow backward, but it is met by these waiting pockets. The blood flows into them, causing them to billow out like 3 tiny parachutes, their edges meeting perfectly in the center of the vessel to form a tight, secure seal. This closure is what creates the second, sharper sound of the heartbeat, the dub. This elegant, alternating rhythm, lub-dub, lub-dub, is therefore the sound of doors. The lub is the atrioventricular valves closing at the beginning of ventricular contraction. The dub is the semilunar valves closing at the end of it. It is a symphony performed by 4 gentle doors, opening and closing in perfect time. Fact 33. To ensure these doors never falter, the AV valves have a clever support system. The chordae tendineae are thin, strong, fibrous cords often called the heartstrings. They tether the edges of the tricuspid and mitral valves to tiny papillary muscles in the ventricle walls. When the ventricles contract and try to force the valve flaps backward into the atria, these heartstrings pull tight, like the guide wires of a tent, preventing the doors from flipping inside out. They are the silent, unseen guides that ensure a perfect seal. And perhaps the most profound fact of all is the quiet endurance of these structures. Fact 34. Your heart valves are in near constant motion. Over a lifetime, they will open and close more than 3 billion times without rest, without conscious control, and for most, without ever failing. They are the unsung heroes of your circulation, performing their silent, repetitive, and absolutely critical duty with a reliability that is almost beyond comprehension. So, as you lie in stillness, listening to the rhythm of your own heart, you can now hear it for what it is, the sound of gentle, steadfast doors, opening to welcome life in and closing to ensure it moves forward, never backward. It is a sound of order, of purpose, of a flawless system working in the dark. There is no struggle, only a serene and certain rhythm. We have listened to the rhythm of the unseen drummer, walked through its 4 quiet chambers, and learned of the gentle doors that guide its flow. We have marveled at a house that works tirelessly for the entire body. But tonight, we ask a simple, vital question. Who tends to the keeper? Who nourishes the nourisher? The answer lies in a delicate, private garden woven upon the heart's own surface. the coronary arteries. Imagine a great, ancient castle from whose gates a river flows to sustain the entire surrounding kingdom. The castle itself, however, does not drink from this mighty river. Instead, it has its own secret and more delicate source, a series of small spring-fed aqueducts built directly into its own walls. So it is with the heart. The heart is a muscle, and like any muscle, it demands a constant, rich supply of oxygen and nutrients to fuel its relentless work. It cannot simply sip from the vast volumes of blood it pumps. That blood is destined for the body. It requires its own dedicated private supply line. Fact 35. This private supply begins almost immediately as blood is ejected from the heart. Just beyond the aortic valve, at the very root of the great aorta, lie the small, vital openings of the left and right coronary arteries. These are the first branches of the entire arterial tree, the first vessels to drink from the fountain of freshly oxygenated blood. It is a design of beautiful priority. The first to be served is the server itself. These two main arteries then begin to weave their way across the surface of the heart, like gentle vines embracing a treasured form. Fact 36. The left coronary artery is a relatively short but crucial trunk that almost immediately divides into two major branches. One, the left anterior descending artery, travels down the front of the heart, feeding the mighty left ventricle. The other, the circumflex artery, wraps around the left side like a tender embrace. Together, they are responsible for nourishing the bulk of the heart's powerful muscle. Fact 37. The right coronary artery curves down along the right side of the heart. It is a guardian of the heart's intrinsic rhythm, as it typically supplies blood to the sinoatrial node, the heart's natural pacemaker, and the atrioventricular node, which conducts the electrical signal. It ensures that the drummer itself has the energy to keep its steady time. But this garden is not just two simple vines. It is a network of profound intricacy and redundancy. Fact 38. From these main arteries, smaller and smaller branches dive deep into the muscular wall of the heart, eventually forming a dense, capillary network so vast that nearly every single one of the heart's own muscle cells, its cardiomyocytes, is directly adjacent to a capillary. This ensures that oxygen can diffuse instantly from the blood into the working muscle with no time for delay. It is the most intimate of deliveries. The heart's demand for this private nourishment is unceasing and immense. Fact 39. Despite the heart constituting less than 1% of the body's weight, it requires a staggering 5% of the body's total blood supply just to meet its baseline needs. During exertion or stress, this demand can skyrocket to a third or even half of the heart's total output. Its own private garden must be capable of a tremendous flow. This flow, however, has a unique rhythm dictated not by the heart's contraction, but by its release. Fact 40. Most blood flow to the coronary arteries does not occur when the heart is squeezing tight. During the powerful ventricular contraction or systole, the vessels embedded in the heart muscle are actually compressed, momentarily restricting their own flow. The majority of the heart's nourishment arrives during diastole, the brief, peaceful moment when the heart is relaxed and refilling. This is the quiet pause when the garden is watered. And like any precious garden, this one has its own quiet sentinels and pathways. Fact 41. In some hearts, nature provides backup routes. Collateral circulation refers to tiny, normally closed blood vessels that can slowly open and enlarge if a main coronary artery becomes blocked over time. They are dormant pathways, secret garden gates that can be unlocked by need, creating a natural bypass to protect the vulnerable muscle. The vulnerability of this system is a testament to its absolute necessity. Fact 42. A blockage in one of these small, vital arteries, often no wider than a piece of spaghetti, can have consequences that ripple through the entire body. The death of heart muscle from lack of blood flow is a stark reminder of how this private garden, when threatened, affects the kingdom it sustains. So, as you feel the steady beat within your chest, know that it is sustained by its own quiet, intricate ecosystem, a network of delicate vessels woven like a living garland upon the heart's surface, drinking first from the aortic well and flowing most freely in the heart's moments of rest. Your heart does not only give life, it tends to its own. It has its own private garden, a dedicated and prioritized source of sustenance, ensuring it has the strength to continue its lifelong rhythmic labor. Let this knowledge comfort you. The drummer is not alone. It is constantly tended to, nourished by its own silent flowing vines. It is a self-sustaining miracle, a keeper that is also kept, a giver that is also given to. We have spent these quiet evenings within the heart's own chambers, learning of its gentle doors and its private garden. But a heart does not beat in a vacuum. Its rhythm is the central power station for a network of almost unimaginable scale, a silent, flowing city within you. Tonight, we step back to admire this entire vast metropolis, the circulatory system. Imagine the heart not just as a house, but as a great central pump station built beside a life-giving river. From this station, countless channels and waterways carry this vital flow to every distant corner of the land, and then return it once again to the source. This is the endless, silent journey of your blood. The vessels that carry blood away from the heart are the great highways of this internal world. Fact 43. The arteries are the strong, muscular delivery roads. They are built with thick, elastic walls that can withstand the powerful, pulsing pressure of each heartbeat. The largest of them all, the aorta, is a true superhighway, nearly an inch in diameter where it leaves the heart. With every contraction, it expands slightly to absorb the force, then gently recoils, helping to push the blood forward in a continuous flow, even between beats. But a city is not made only of highways. The great roads must branch into smaller streets, and then into quiet, narrow alleys that reach every single home. Fact 44. The arteries gradually branch into smaller arterioles. These are the precise regulators of the system, their muscular walls constricting or dilating to carefully control blood flow to specific tissues. They are the gatekeepers, deciding how much life-giving flow each neighborhood, your stomach, your skin, your brain, will receive at any given moment. And finally, we reach the most intimate, quietest streets of all, the capillaries. Fact 45. The capillaries are the silent, cobblestone alleys where the real work of life is done. They are so narrow that red blood cells must often pass through in a single file. Their walls are incredibly thin, just a single cell layer, allowing for the gentle, passive exchange of oxygen and nutrients for carbon dioxide and other wastes. It is here, in these quiet, countless lanes, that the blood fulfills its ultimate purpose, a whispered conversation with every one of your tens of trillions of cells. After this quiet exchange, the journey must reverse. The blood, now tired and deoxygenated, begins its long return home. Fact 46. The capillaries empty into venules, the small gathering lanes which in turn merge into the great, returning rivers of the veins. Unlike the thick muscular arteries, veins have thinner, more flexible walls. The pressure here is very low, a soft, slow-moving flow. Their journey is often uphill against gravity, especially from the legs and feet. To manage this gentle uphill flow, the veins possess a beautiful and simple innovation. Fact 47. Inside your veins are tiny, delicate valves. These are not like the heart's valves, but smaller crescent-shaped folds that act like gentle, one-way gates. They open to allow blood to flow toward the heart and then snap shut to prevent it from flowing backward. With every contraction of your surrounding muscles as you walk, or even just breathe, your veins are gently squeezed, pushing the blood past these valves one gate at a time on its patient journey home. The scale of this internal city is almost beyond comprehension. Fact 48. If you were to take all the blood vessels from a single human body, the arteries, the arterioles, the capillaries, and the veins, and lay them end to end, they would stretch for over 60,000 miles. That is a distance long enough to wrap around the equator of the Earth more than twice. This vast network resides within you, a hidden landscape of unparalleled complexity. And this city is not static. It is dynamic, constantly rerouting its resources with quiet intelligence. Fact 49. This system is not a rigid map. It is a living, responsive network. After a meal, more blood is gently diverted to your digestive system. During a walk, more is sent to your muscles. When you are cold, it retreats from the skin to conserve heat. This is done automatically without a single conscious thought from you through the subtle narrowing and widening of the arterioles. Your inner city is always managing its traffic for maximum efficiency and comfort. All of this exists to serve the constant, quiet needs of your cells. Fact 50. At any given moment, only about 5 or 10% of your capillaries are fully open. The body possesses an immense reserve capacity, a testament to the elegant, on-demand design of this system. It opens the gates only where and when they are needed, a quiet, efficient stewardship of its resources. So, as you lie in stillness, picture this silent, flowing city within you, the great arterial highways carrying life away from the central heart, the countless quiet capillary alleys where sustenance is gently passed to every cell, and the patient, venous rivers with their soft, one-way gates, guiding the flow all the way home. Your heartbeat is the pulse of this entire metropolis, a single rhythmic push that sends a wave through 60,000 miles of living channels. There is no rush, no traffic jam, only a slow, deliberate and endless flow sustaining the quiet, bustling life of you. Let the rhythm of this inner city lull you to sleep. Within you, a vast and peaceful world is always humming, always flowing, always home. We have mapped the heart's chambers, traced the rivers of its private garden, and followed the vast, branching network of its inner city. But a city requires a conductor. A rhythm needs a composer. Tonight, we turn our attention to the silent, invisible maestro that directs this entire symphony, the heart's own electrical system, a natural, rhythmic lullaby composed within the walls of the heart itself. Imagine the heart not just as a pump, but as a chamber orchestra. The muscles are the instruments, the blood is the music, but the timing, the precise, unwavering tempo, comes from a hidden conductor. This conductor does not wave its arms, but sends out gentle rhythmic sparks of electricity, a quiet metronome that has been ticking since before you were born. This entire, elegant system begins with a small, specialized patch of cells, the heart's true pacemaker. Fact 51. In the upper wall of the right atrium, near the point where the great vena cava empties, lies a tiny cluster of cells no larger than a grain of rice. This is the sinoatrial node, or SA node. It is the heart's natural pacemaker, the conductor of the entire orchestra. From this unassuming spot, the rhythm of your life is generated. The SA node possesses a magical, innate property, the ability to create its own rhythm, entirely on its own. Fact 52. The cells of the SA node are unique. They exhibit automaticity, meaning they can spontaneously generate an electrical impulse without any signal from the brain or nerves. They do this by allowing charged particles like sodium and calcium to slowly leak into the cell until a critical threshold is reached, at which point they fire an electrical charge. This is the first spark of every single heartbeat, a self-generated whisper of electricity. This initial spark then spreads like a gentle wave across the upper chambers of the heart. Fact 53. After the SA node fires, the electrical impulse radiates outward across both the right and left atria. It travels along specialized pathways, causing the muscle cells to contract in a smooth, coordinated wave. This is the gentle atrial contraction, the atrial kick that efficiently pushes the last of the blood into the ventricles. It is the first soft movement of the symphony. But for the music to be perfect, there must be a pause, a moment of dramatic anticipation before the great crescendo. Fact 54. The electrical impulse cannot travel directly into the ventricles. It is met by a patch of insulating tissue. The only gateway is through another small node of cells, the atrioventricular node or AV node. This node acts as a deliberate gatekeeper. It briefly delays the electrical signal, pausing for about 1/10 of a second. This critical pause allows the ventricles to finish filling with blood before they receive the command to contract. Once the atria have fully emptied, the gate opens and the signal races downward to awaken the mighty ventricles. Fact 55. From the AV node, the impulse travels down a specialized highway of fibers called the bundle of His. This bundle quickly divides into right and left bundle branches, which run along the septum, the wall between the ventricles. These branches then fan out into a web of delicate, fast-conducting fibers called Purkinje fibers, which spread the electrical signal instantly throughout the ventricular muscles. This elegant high-speed system ensures a powerful, coordinated contraction. Fact 56. The design of the Purkinje network causes the ventricles to contract from the bottom up. This squeezing motion is far more efficient than a top-down contraction, as it ejects blood upward and out into the great arteries with maximum force. It is the powerful crescendo of the symphony, the mighty ventricular contraction that sends life surging through the body. And while the heart is its own master, it is also a gracious listener, able to adjust its tempo to the needs of the body. Fact 57. Though the SA node sets its own intrinsic rhythm, it is gently influenced by the autonomic nervous system. The vagus nerve can whisper to it to slow down during rest and relaxation, while adrenaline can urge it to quicken its pace during excitement or exertion. The conductor listens to the needs of the kingdom, but the music always remains its own. This entire complex sequence happens in the blink of an eye, over and over again. Fact 58. The total time from the initial spark in the SA node to the full contraction of the ventricles is less than 2/10 of a second. In that fleeting moment, a wave of electricity is generated, spread, delayed, and then accelerated in a perfect life-sustaining sequence. It is a lullaby of physics and biology, playing on an endless loop. So, as you lie in the quiet, feel the steady rhythm in your chest. Know that it is not a random thump, but the product of a tiny, dedicated conductor and a flawless electrical pathway. A natural pacemaker, a deliberate gatekeeper, and a swift, branching network working in perfect harmony. It is a lullaby composed of electricity, a silent song that keeps your inner world alive and flowing. Let this knowledge of the perfect self-conducted rhythm within you guide you into a deep and peaceful sleep. All is in time, all is in tune. We have followed the heart's electrical lullaby, the silent spark that commands the muscle to dance. But every dance has a sound, every rhythm has a voice. Tonight we listen not to the silence within, but to its gentle, percussive poetry. We explore the humble, familiar duet that is the soundtrack of your existence, the lub-dub. This sound is not a single note, but a conversation. It is the gentle, yet firm, closing of doors. It is the acoustic evidence of perfect sequential timing. To understand it is to listen to the very architecture of the heart at work. The sound does not come from the muscle itself contracting. A clenched fist makes no sound. The voice of the heart comes from the vibrations that ripple through the blood and the chambers as its delicate, steadfast valves swing shut. The first sound, the softer, deeper lub, marks the beginning of the heart's mighty effort to send blood to the body. Fact 59. The lub, or first heart sound, S1, is created by the simultaneous closing of the two atrioventricular valves, the mitral and the tricuspid. This occurs the moment the ventricles begin their powerful contraction, a phase called systole. The sudden, immense pressure in the ventricles slams these gentle doors shut, preventing blood from rushing back up into the atria. The sound we hear is the vibration of the valve leaflets, the chordae tendini, and the blood itself against the now closed gate. This first sound is not a sharp crack, but a resonant, muffled tone. This is because it is the sound of larger, softer structures meeting under immense pressure. Fact 60. The lub is lower in pitch and longer in duration than the second sound. This is due to the nature of the AV valves themselves. Their leaflets are relatively large and soft, and the pressure building behind them is immense but not instantaneous. The sound they make is thus a deeper, more resonant thump that seems to contain the entire weight of the ventricles gathering power. With the lub, the exit is sealed. The ventricles now contract in full force, building pressure until it is time to open the exit doors to the great arteries. But this part, the powerful, muscular squeeze that pushes the blood out, is largely silent. The true work of ejection happens in a hushed, determined rush. The sound returns only when the journey is complete, and the doors must close behind the departing flow. Fact 60. 1. The dub, or second heart sound, S2, is sharper and shorter than the first. It is the sound of the semilunar valves, the aortic and pulmonary, snapping shut. This occurs at the very end of ventricular systole, as the ventricles begin to relax. The moment the pressure in the arteries exceeds the falling pressure in the ventricles, blood immediately tries to flow backward. It is caught in the delicate cup-like pouches of these valves, causing them to billow out and meet in the center with a crisp, definitive seal. The second sound has a unique split personality, a subtle clue to the two separate journeys the blood is taking. Fact 62. If you could listen with a perfect medical ear, you might sometimes hear the dub not as a single sound, but as two separate, nearly simultaneous clicks. The aortic valve closing first, followed microseconds later by the pulmonary valve. This is because the pressure in the aorta is slightly higher than in the pulmonary artery, causing its door to snap shut a hair's breadth sooner. It is a whispered testament to the heart's dual circulation, and so the simple lub-dub is, in fact, a profound story. It is the story of a cycle. Fact 60. 3. The time between the lub and the dub is systole, the active, working phase of the heart, when the ventricles are contracting and ejecting blood. The longer, quieter pause between the dub and the next lub is diastole, the resting and filling phase. The heart, therefore, spends more of its time in peaceful, quiet rest than in loud, active labor. The rhythm you hear is mostly silence, punctuated by 2 soft, closing doors. The constancy of this sound is a marvel of endurance. Fact 64. The structures that create these sounds, the delicate valve leaflets, are some of the most hard-working tissues in the body. They will open and close over 3 billion times in an average lifetime, creating the same 2 sounds in the same sequence, from infancy to old age. They are the quiet, reliable percussionists in the orchestra of your body. So as you lie in the stillness, you can now listen to your own heart and understand its quiet conversation. The lub is not a random thump. It is the sound of the mitral and tricuspid valves ensuring the flow moves forward into the ventricles. The dub is not an echo. It is the sound of the aortic and pulmonary valves ensuring the flow continues on its journey and does not fall back. It is the sound of gentle yet firm closure, the sound of perfect repeated order, the sound of a system that knows only one direction, forward. Let this duet be your lullaby. There is no chaos in this sound, only the serene and certain rhythm of doors opening and closing in a house of peace. It is the sound of life, steady, predictable, and endlessly reassuring. We have learned the heart's electrical lullaby and deciphered the meaning behind its lub-dub song. It would be easy to imagine this rhythm as perfectly mechanical, as steady and unvarying as a metronome. But tonight we uncover a deeper truth. The heart is not a machine. It is a living, breathing, and deeply intelligent system. And its true sign of health is not perfect regularity, but a graceful, subtle irregularity. It is, in fact, a master of rest. If you were to measure the time between each of your heartbeats with a precise instrument, you would make a surprising discovery. The intervals are not identical. Fact 65. This phenomenon is called heart rate variability, or HRV. It refers to the slight, constantly changing variations in the time between one heartbeat and the next. These variations are measured in milliseconds, far too subtle for you to feel, but they are there. A healthy heart does not beat with the monotonous tick of a clock. It breathes with a rhythm that is both stable and adaptable, like a jazz musician subtly playing around the central beat. This variability is not a sign of error or weakness. It is, in fact, the signature of a robust and responsive nervous system. Fact 66. HRV is governed by the constant, gentle tug-of-war between 2 branches of your autonomic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system, the accelerator, urges the heart to beat a little faster, shortening the interval between beats. The parasympathetic nervous system, the brake, largely conducted by the vagus nerve, whispers for it to slow down, lengthening the interval. A high HRV indicates that the heart is listening expertly to both, able to respond to life's gentle demands with fluid grace. The heart's willingness to pause, to rest, is its greatest strength. Fact 67. One of the most significant influences on a healthy HRV is the power of the breath. This is called respiratory sinus arrhythmia. As you inhale, you naturally inhibit the vagus nerve's slowing effect, allowing your heart rate to gently quicken, filling with blood to be oxygenated. As you exhale, the vagus nerve reasserts itself and your heart rate softly slows. This creates a gentle, wave-like rhythm tied directly to your breathing, a beautiful physical manifestation of the heart and lungs dancing together. This delicate balance means the heart is always in conversation with your body and even with your mind. Fact 68. Your heart's variability is a mirror to your state of being. During deep, restful sleep, HRV is typically at its highest. The heart is free to slow and pause, to explore the spaces between beats. During periods of stress, anxiety, or illness, the sympathetic tone often dominates and HRV decreases. The rhythm becomes more rigid, more monotonous. As the body prepares for a challenge, the heart's inherent pacemaker understands the profound need for these pauses. Fact 69. The sinoatrial node, the heart's conductor, has a natural refractory period, a brief moment after it fires when it cannot be stimulated again. This is a built-in mandatory rest. It ensures that each beat is complete and effective before the next can begin, preventing the heart from racing into a chaotic, unsustainable flutter. It is a cellular-level lesson in patience. This wisdom is written into the very rhythm of life from before we are born. Fact 70. A fetus in the womb exhibits a remarkably high degree of heart rate variability. This complex, fluctuating rhythm is now understood to be a key indicator of healthy neurological development. It suggests a nervous system that is already learning the delicate art of adaptation and response, practicing the dance of rest and activity in its warm, aquatic world, and sometimes the heart takes a rest that is long enough to be noticed, an event that can cause concern but is often perfectly natural. Fact 71. It is not uncommon for a healthy heart, particularly in a well-conditioned athlete, to experience a sinus pause. This is a lapse of 2 or even 3 seconds between beats where the SA node simply takes a brief respite before resuming its rhythm. In a calm, resting state, this is not a sign of failure, but a testament to the dominant, peaceful influence of the vagus nerve. It is the heart, confident in its reserves, taking a deep, quiet breath. Ultimately, a variable heart is a resilient heart. Fact 72. A higher HRV is generally associated with better cardiovascular health, greater stress resilience, and even improved emotional regulation. It means the heart is not locked into a single rigid pace. It is supple, flexible, and ready to meet the moment, whether that moment calls for energetic action or profound rest. So, as you lie in the quiet tonight, know this: the rhythm in your chest is not supposed to be perfectly even. The tiny, imperceptible variations in its tempo are not a flaw. They are the signature of a heart that is listening to your breath, to your mind, to the quiet needs of your body. It is a master of rest, finding pockets of silence between its own beats. It is not striving for mechanical perfection, but for intelligent, fluid harmony. Your heart knows that true strength lies not in constant, unyielding action, but in the graceful, wise balance between work and rest. Let your own breathing slow. Let the spaces between your thoughts grow longer. And as you drift towards sleep, know that your heart is already there, practicing the gentle, wise art of restful variation. We have listened to the heart's electrical whispers and marveled at its intelligent rhythm. We have traced the paths of its nourishing rivers and the doors that guide its flow. But all of this, the spark, the sound, the pulse, depends upon a single, remarkable substance, the muscle itself, the engine that transforms electricity into motion and intention into life. Tonight, we come to the bedrock of the pulp, the incredible, enduring muscle of the myocardium. Imagine a fist-sized engine that must work without a single moment's pause for your entire life. It cannot tire. It cannot stop to rest. It must be strong enough to push a river of blood to the very ends of your body, yet delicate enough to fine-tune its force with every beat. This is the myocardium, the heart's own unique and powerful muscle. This muscle is not like the muscles that move your limbs. Its work is silent, involuntary, and utterly relentless. Fact 73. The myocardium is a type of involuntary striated muscle. The word myocardium itself comes from the Greek myo for muscle and cardia for heart. It is striated because under a microscope, its cells show the same orderly, striped pattern as the skeletal muscles in your arms and legs. But unlike those muscles, you cannot command it to move. It beats to its own ancient rhythm, a dedicated, autonomous workforce. The true miracle of this muscle lies in its cellular architecture, a design for endless, synchronized labor. Fact 74. The heart muscle is not a single, giant fiber. It is composed of billions of individual cells called cardiomyocytes. These cells are not isolated. They are intricately connected in a dense, woven network. This allows the electrical impulse to spread rapidly and uniformly, ensuring the heart contracts as a single, unified unit. It is a vast community where every cell must fire in perfect harmony for the whole to function. The connections between these cells are not just simple links. They are sophisticated gateways designed for speed and strength. Fact 75. Cardiomyocytes are joined by unique structures called intercalated discs. These are not mere bridges, but complex junctions that firmly anchor the cells together and contain gap junctions, tiny channels that allow ions to pass directly from one cell to the next. This is what allows the electrical signal to propagate so swiftly, making the entire myocardium contract in a smooth, coordinated wave, like a ripple across a pond. This design grants the heart a property unique in the body, functional syncytium. Fact 76. Because of the intercalated discs, the heart muscle behaves as a functional syncytium. This means that while it is made of billions of individual cells, it functions as a single, cohesive unit. When one cardiomyocyte is stimulated to contract, the impulse spreads so efficiently that all its neighbors contract almost simultaneously. This is why the heart contracts in a powerful, unified squeeze, rather than a disorganized twitching. The strength required for this work is generated by the very stuff of the muscle fibers themselves. Fact 77. Within each cardiomyocyte, the actual contraction is performed by sliding filaments of proteins, actin and myosin. This is the same fundamental mechanism used by all muscles. But in the heart, this microscopic machinery is optimized for endurance and reliability over raw speed. It is a slow, powerful, and incredibly efficient engine, built for a marathon that lasts a lifetime. And the fuel for this engine is a constant, demanding fire. Fact 78. The myocardium is densely packed with mitochondria, often called the powerhouses of the cell. In fact, nearly a third of the volume of a heart muscle cell is filled with mitochondria. This is a far greater density than in any skeletal muscle. These mitochondria work tirelessly to produce ATP, the energy currency that powers every single contraction. The heart is, quite literally, a furnace of constant energy production. This immense metabolic activity requires a relentless, dedicated blood supply. Fact 79. The strength of the myocardium is not uniform throughout the heart. The walls of the left ventricle are the thickest and most powerful, typically measuring 1.3 to 1.5 centimeters thick. This makes sense as this chamber bears the greatest burden, pumping blood against the high pressure of the entire systemic circulation. Its mighty wall is a testament to a lifetime of lifting a heavy load. Yet, for all its strength, the heart muscle possesses a beautiful, inherent caution. Fact 80. The myocardium has a long refractory period. This is a brief pause after a contraction during which the muscle cells cannot be stimulated to contract again. This is a critical safety feature. It prevents the heart from seizing up in a sustained titanic contraction, which would be fatal. It ensures that the heart must relax and refill before it can beat again, enforcing a rhythm of work and rest. So, as you feel the steady, strong pulse in your chest, know that it is the work of a billion tiny engines all firing in perfect unison, a woven tapestry of muscle connected by intelligent gateways, fueled by countless powerhouses and designed for a single, lifelong purpose. It is a strength that does not boast. It does not flex. It simply persists. It is the quiet, resilient power that pushes life through 60,000 miles of channels day and night without complaint. Your heart is not just a symbol of strength. It is strength itself made flesh and beating just for you. Let the constancy of this inner strength comfort you. Within your chest resides an engine of unparalleled endurance, a silent, powerful companion for your entire journey. We have felt the heart's strength, the powerful myocardium that contracts with such reliable force. But strength is measured not just in power, but in perseverance, in the quiet, cumulative work of a lifetime. Tonight, we step back from the individual beat to admire the grand tapestry woven by billions of those beats. We contemplate the sheer, breathtaking volume of life that the heart pumps on our behalf. Imagine a single, dedicated artisan working in silence for decades. Their task is to move a mountain, not with dynamite and machinery, but one gentle, deliberate handful at a time. This is the heart. Its work is measured not in moments, but in the slow, patient accumulation of a lifetime's effort. The work of a single day is, by itself, a monumental achievement. Fact 81. At rest, the human heart pumps approximately 5 liters of blood per minute. Think of a large bottle of water. Now imagine your heart filling and emptying that bottle every minute of every hour, even as you sleep. In 1 hour, that is 300 liters. In a single, peaceful day, the heart moves nearly 700 liters of blood. This is enough to fill a large backyard swimming pool to a depth where one could wade. This daily rhythm, this quiet, constant circulation, is the baseline of existence. Fact 82. The total volume of blood in an average human body is only about 5 liters. This means your heart circulates your entire blood volume, every single red cell, every platelet, through your body more than once every minute. In a single day, your blood makes this complete journey over 1/500 times. It is a constant flowing renewal, a river of life endlessly circling its course. But a day is only a single brushstroke on a vast canvas. The true scale reveals itself over the decades. Fact 83. Over the course of an average 80-year lifetime, the human heart will beat approximately 2.5 to 3 billion times. We have heard this number before, but now let us consider what it moves. At a conservative average of 5 liters per minute, this amounts to pumping nearly 200 million liters of blood. This is 200 million 1-liter bottles. It is a volume so immense it becomes abstract, a number belonging to astronomy or geology. To make this cosmic number tangible, we can pour it into containers we can understand. Fact 84. 200 million liters of water would be enough to fill 80 Olympic-sized swimming pools to the brim. Imagine a lifetime of heartbeats, each one a ripple, finally filling these vast silent pools. This is the volume of life your heart pushes through its chambers from your first cry to your final breath. We can also measure this work in the distance it could push a single, symbolic drop. Fact 85. The force generated by the left ventricle with each beat is enough to shoot a stream of blood over 9 meters into the air. Over a lifetime, the cumulative energy of the heart's contractions is immense. While it is a quiet internal force, if all that energy could be focused, it would be enough to lift a person to the summit of Mount Everest not once, but thousands of times over. This work is performed with an efficiency that humbles our finest machines. Fact 86. The heart is a model of fuel efficiency. It consumes only about 6 kilowatt-hours of chemical energy in a day to perform its Herculean task, roughly the same amount of electricity it takes to power a standard desktop computer for a day. It accomplishes its work not with roaring combustion, but with the quiet, elegant chemistry of cellular respiration. And this entire silent enterprise is conducted without any conscious command from you. Fact 87. You have never once had to remember to tell your heart to beat. You have never willed a ventricle to contract. This vast, lifelong labor of pumping enough fluid to fill 80 swimming pools has been carried out entirely in the background of your being. It is the most profound trust, the most intimate and reliable service imaginable. The heart, however, is not a static engine. It grows and changes with its workload. Fact 88. In response to consistent endurance exercise, the heart undergoes a beneficial adaptation called physiological hypertrophy. The left ventricle grows slightly thicker and stronger, and the heart's chambers may enlarge a little. This allows it to pump more blood with each beat, becoming a more efficient, powerful pump. It is a muscle that willingly strengthens itself to better serve the body it sustains. So, as you lie in the quiet tonight, consider the journey of the blood within you. It is not simply circling. It is being pushed on a monumental lifelong voyage by a silent, muscular artist. An artist that will, in its time, move a volume of life equivalent to a small sea. There is no medal for this labor, no applause, only the quiet, internal knowledge of a task perfectly and endlessly performed. The heart does not ask for recognition. It only asks for the fuel to continue its work. Let this thought bring you a profound sense of peace. You are carried by a strength that is both mighty and humble. A strength that has already moved mountains for you and will continue to do so, one gentle, rhythmic wave at a time. Your heartbeat is the sound of an ocean being moved, drop by patient drop. And it is all for you. We have measured the heart's immense, lifelong labor, the billions of beats that push an ocean of blood through the body. But even the most dedicated worker needs rest. And for the heart, rest does not mean stopping. It means changing its rhythm, softening its pace, and entering a state of quiet nocturnal repair. Tonight we explore the heart as it follows you into the landscape of dreams, and how its rhythm becomes the gentle caretaker of your sleep. As you surrender to the pull of sleep, a profound shift occurs within you. The day's demands recede, and the nervous system undergoes a quiet change of guard. Fact 89. The transition from wakefulness to sleep is marked by a surge in parasympathetic nervous system activity, often called the rest and digest system. The vagus nerve, that gentle break we have spoken of, becomes the dominant influence. It whispers to the SA node, the heart's pacemaker, to slow its tempo. This is why your resting heart rate at night is typically its lowest, a soft, slow drum in the dark. This slowing is not a sign of weakness, but of profound efficiency and safety. Fact 80. During deep, non-REM sleep, the average heart rate can drop to 40-50 beats per minute, and in a well-conditioned athlete, it may dip even lower. This is known as nocturnal bradycardia. It is the heart, confident in its reserves, taking full advantage of the body's minimal energy demands. It is the rhythm of deep conservation, a peaceful, idle hum. With this slower pace comes a more complex and graceful rhythm, a sign of a system at ease. Fact 91. The state of sleep, particularly deep sleep, is when heart rate variability, HRV, often reaches its peak. The intervals between beats become beautifully irregular in their subtle millisecond variations. This high HRV signals a heart that is exquisitely responsive to its environment, breathing with the slow tides of the body, free from the rigid demands of the waking world. The very sound of the heart changes, becoming a softer, more muffled lullaby. Fact 92. As you lie down, the heart's position shifts slightly relative to the chest wall. Combined with the overall reduction in cardiac output and force of contraction, the familiar lub-dub can become quieter and more difficult to hear. It turns inward, its sound less an announcement and more a private internal murmur, a secret kept between you and the night. This quieting is mirrored by a significant drop in the force that blood exerts against your arterial walls. Fact 93. During the restorative stages of sleep, your blood pressure undergoes a natural dip, known as nocturnal dipping. It can fall by 10–20% compared to daytime levels. This dip provides a crucial respite for your entire circulatory system, a daily period of lowered pressure that helps to maintain the health and elasticity of your arteries over a lifetime. But the night is not a single, uninterrupted quiet. It is a journey through different landscapes of consciousness, and the heart faithfully follows. Fact 94. During REM sleep, the stage of vivid dreams, the heart can become as active as it is during the day. Your heart rate and blood pressure can become variable and even spike, reflecting the brain's heightened activity and the emotional content of your dreams. The heart is listening to the stories your mind is telling, its rhythm becoming the soundtrack to your inner theater. It is during the deep, quiet stretches of the night that the heart attends to its own maintenance. Fact 95. The reduced workload of sleep is the heart's opportunity for repair. Blood flow is redirected, and cellular processes focus on replenishing energy stores, clearing metabolic waste, and repairing minor damage sustained during the day's exertions. This is when the heart muscle, that relentless myocardium, gets its chance for quiet, molecular restoration. The profound importance of this nocturnal rhythm is starkly revealed when it is disrupted. Fact 96. A failure of the blood pressure to dip at night, a phenomenon called non-dipping, is associated with an increased risk of cardiovascular events. It suggests the heart and arteries are being denied their essential daily respite. The heart that cannot find rest at night is a heart that is perpetually on duty, a sentinel that never leaves its post. So as you feel yourself drifting into sleep tonight, pay attention to the gentle slowing in your chest. That is not a fading, it is a deepening. It is your heart, your loyal companion, settling into its night watch. It is lowering its voice to match the quiet of the room, trading power for patience and action for restoration. It is following you into the realm of dreams, keeping time with a rhythm that is both ancient and personal, a rhythm that knows when to be a vigorous march for the day and when to be a soft lullaby for the night. Let this slower, softer rhythm guide you. Your heart is not just beating, it is breathing with the night. It is standing guard over your dreams, ensuring that while your mind wanders in far-off lands, your body is tended to with the utmost care. It is your personal internal night watch, a steady, gentle presence in the dark. We have followed the heart into the quiet of night, hearing its rhythm soften to a restorative whisper. But a rhythm is more than just a tempo. It has a texture, a pressure, a subtle force that speaks volumes about the heart's conversation with the body. Tonight, we learn to listen to this other, more nuanced language. Not the sound of the beat, but the silent push and flow that surrounds it. We explore blood pressure not as a stark number, but as a gentle, whispering measurement. If the heartbeat is the drum, then blood pressure is the wind that carries its sound. It is the constant fluid pressure that fills your vast network of arteries, a silent, living tension that is the very presence of life moving within you. This pressure is not a single, monolithic force. It is a dialogue, a story told in two distinct parts, like an inhalation and an exhalation. Fact 97. The higher number, the systolic pressure, is the story of the heart's active voice. It is the peak pressure generated in your arteries the moment the ventricles contract, that powerful squeeze that we hear as the lub. This is the heart speaking its most forceful word, a wave of pressure that distends the elastic walls of the aorta and major arteries, pushing life onward. Fact 98, the lower number, the diastolic pressure, is the story of the heart's quiet listening. It is the residual pressure that remains in the arteries during the heart's brief rest between beats, the pause we hear as the silence between dub and lub. This pressure is maintained by the gentle, elastic recoil of your arteries themselves, which now act as a secondary pump, ensuring a smooth, continuous flow even while the heart is refilling. Together, these two numbers are not just a measurement, they are a poem of push and rest, force and flow. Fact 99. The difference between the systolic and diastolic pressure is called the pulse pressure. This is not merely a mathematical subtraction. It is a meaningful whisper about the health of your arteries. A healthy, youthful pulse pressure speaks of elastic, responsive vessels that can expand with the heart's push and then gently recoil. It is the story of a resilient, springy network. This pressure is not constant. It is a dynamic, ever-changing conversation that responds to your every thought and movement. Fact 100. Your blood pressure is in a state of constant, fine-tuned fluctuation. It rises gently as you stand up to ensure blood reaches your brain against gravity. It dips as you digest a meal, diverting flow to your stomach. It can momentarily spike with a sudden surprise or a moment of joy. This variability is not a fault. It is the sign of a system that is exquisitely alive and responsive to the moment. The body manages this delicate balance with a symphony of tiny, unconscious adjustments. Fact 100 key. 1. The primary regulators of this pressure are the arterioles, the small muscular gatekeepers we met before. By constricting or dilating, they control the resistance to flow, much like placing a thumb over the end of a garden hose. This is managed by a cascade of hormones and nerve signals, all working in silent harmony to keep the pressure within a perfect, golden range. The arteries themselves are not passive pipes. They are active, living participants in this dialogue. Fact 102. The walls of your large arteries, like the aorta, are rich with elastic tissue. With each systolic push, they stretch, absorbing the heart's force like a reservoir. During diastole, they passively recoil, releasing that stored energy to maintain the diastolic pressure and keep the blood moving. They are the heart's partner in smoothing out the pulsatile rhythm into a near-continuous flow. This entire, silent system is designed for one purpose: to ensure perfusion. Fact 103. The ultimate goal of blood pressure is not the pressure itself, but what it achieves: perfusion. This is the gentle, constant trickle of blood through the vast, sprawling network of capillaries. It is at this microscopic level that oxygen is delivered and waste is collected. Blood pressure is the silent upstream force that ensures this life-giving exchange can happen in every tiny alley of your inner city. When this gentle whisper becomes a constant, strained murmur, the body sends a quiet signal. Fact 104. Sustained high blood pressure, or hypertension, is often called the silent killer because it typically has no obvious symptoms. This is because the body is remarkably adept at adapting. It is a language that over time shifts from a gentle whisper to a persistent background hum of strain, quietly challenging the heart and arteries over years and decades. So, when you feel your pulse, you are feeling the rhythm. But know that behind that rhythm is this other, more subtle language, a constant, fluid pressure, a push and a rest, a systolic story and a diastolic silence. It is the language of life's force, a gentle, whispering measurement that tells the story of your heart's dialogue with the farthest reaches of your being. It is not a number to be feared, but a conversation to be understood. A quiet, ongoing poem written in the language of pressure and flow. As you rest tonight, know that this gentle pressure is there, a soft, internal presence. The push that sends life to your toes and fingertips, and the rest that allows the river to keep flowing. It is the heart's language, spoken not in beats, but in the spaces between them. A quiet, constant whisper, assuring every part of you that it is seen, it is fed, and it is sustained. We have listened to the heart's powerful rhythm and felt the gentle pressure that carries its force through the great arterial highways. But a city is not defined by its grand boulevards alone. It is in the quiet, narrow lanes, the hidden alleys that touch every single home where its true life resides. Tonight, we leave the central pump and the main roads behind, to drift into the most intricate and silent world within you, the vast, dreaming network of the capillaries. If the aorta is a mighty river, and the arteries are its broad tributaries, then the capillaries are the countless, quiet streams that finally bring the water to the root of every tree, to every blade of grass in the meadow. This is where the heart's labor finds its ultimate purpose. The scale of this network is beyond the grasp of everyday imagination. It is a universe in miniature. Fact 105. The human body contains an estimated 10 to 40 billion individual capillaries. If you were to take all of them from a single person and lay them end to end, their combined length would stretch for over 60,000 miles. But they are not laid end to end. They are woven into a dense, shimmering web, a living tapestry that enfolds every one of your trillions of cells. This web is so dense that nowhere in your body is truly far from this life-giving flow. Fact 106. Within most tissues, no single cell is more than 3 or 4 cell widths away from a capillary. This is the final, beautiful solution to the problem of distance. The circulatory system builds a marketplace so fine and so ubiquitous that every cell, no matter how remote, exists just a short, easy stroll from the sustenance it needs. The design of these tiny vessels is a masterpiece of minimalist engineering. Fact 107. Capillaries are incredibly narrow, with an average diameter of just 8 micrometers, so small that red blood cells, themselves only 7 micrometers wide, must often deform, bending and folding, to pass through in a slow, single-file procession. There is no rushing in these quiet lanes. The pace is deliberate, granting the gift of time. Their walls are the thinnest possible barrier, a veil so delicate it allows for a silent, effortless exchange. Fact 108. The wall of a capillary is composed of just a single layer of endothelial cells, sometimes so thin that only a basement membrane supports them. There are no muscles here, no robust layers. This exquisite thinness allows for the gentle, passive diffusion of oxygen, nutrients, carbon dioxide, and wastes directly between the blood and the interstitial fluid that bathes your cells. It is a conversation through a whisper-thin wall. This exchange is not a chaotic flood, but a precisely regulated dialogue. Fact 109. The movement of fluid is governed by a gentle balance of two forces. Hydrostatic pressure, which is the physical push from the heart that tends to force fluid out of the capillary, and oncotic pressure, the pull from proteins in the blood that draws fluid back in. At the arterial end of the capillary, push outweighs pull, and nutrients seep out. At the venous end, pull outweighs push, and waste-laden fluid is drawn back in. It is a perfect, self-regulating cycle. The flow within this network is not always active. It is a landscape that breathes, opening and closing with the needs of the moment. Fact 110. At any given time in a resting muscle, only about 20–30% of its capillaries are open and carrying a full flow of blood. This is the body's elegant principle of reserve. When the muscle demands more oxygen, when you decide to take a walk, for instance, local chemical signals cause precapillary sphincters, tiny muscular gates to relax, and the dormant capillaries awaken, flooding the tissue with a fresh red tide. Each organ has capillaries tailored to its specific sacred function. Fact 111. Capillaries are not all identical. In the liver, they form wide, leaky channels called sinusoids, allowing large proteins to pass for processing. In the brain, they are part of the tightly sealed blood-brain barrier, protecting the delicate neural environment. In the kidneys, they form intricate glomerular tufts that act as sophisticated filtration units. Each network is a custom-made tool for its specific duty. This entire, silent, bustling activity is what truly defines your aliveness. Fact 112. The ultimate purpose of the heart's 100,000 daily beats and the 60,000 miles of vessels is to serve this single, humble event, the moment an oxygen molecule detaches from a red blood cell, drifts across the thin capillary wall, and is drawn into a waiting cell to power the chemistry of life. This is the final silent transaction. Everything else is logistics, so as you lie in stillness, picture this not as a body at rest, but as a landscape humming with quiet microscopic activity, a universe of tiny red-lit streams where countless silent exchanges are taking place. Your muscles, your bones, your skin, all are being continuously, gently tended to by this endless, flowing web. The grand pulse you feel in your chest is, in its final expression, this: a gentle, pervasive dampness, a life-giving mist that reaches every hidden corner of you. The heart's mighty push is softened here into a whisper that can be heard only by your individual cells. You are not just a being with a circulatory system, you are a circulatory system. A universe of rivers, a nation of capillaries, all working in silent, concerted effort to sustain the conscious, breathing self that is you. Let this image of your inner, flowing universe lull you into peace. Within you, a boundless, gentle network is always at work, a silent, nurturing presence in the dark. We have journeyed through the heart's private chambers and traveled the vast, silent network of its capillary streams. But no organ, not even the heart, is an island. Its work is part of a delicate, essential duet. Tonight, we turn our attention to the heart's closest companion, its partner in the eternal dance of renewal, the lungs, and the gentle, constant rhythm of the breath. Imagine two neighbors, Living side by side in the same protected fortress of the ribcage, one is a muscular artist of flow, the other a soft, branching artist of air. Their work is so intimately connected that one cannot fulfill its purpose without the other. This is the story of their conversation, a dialogue written in blood and air. The physical connection between them is a short, dedicated pathway, a private bridge between two worlds. Fact 113. The heart and lungs are linked by the pulmonary circulation. This is a separate, shorter loop, distinct from the long, arduous journey through the body. The right ventricle pumps blood directly through the pulmonary artery to the lungs, and the left atrium receives it back via the pulmonary veins. It is a dedicated, intimate circuit, a quiet commute for blood-seeking renewal. The meeting point of this circuit is one of the most beautiful and delicate structures in the body. Fact 114. Within the lungs, the pulmonary arteries branch into a capillary network that weaves around countless tiny air sacs called alveoli. It is here that the magic happens. The wall of the capillary and the wall of the alveolus are pressed together, so thin that they form a combined membrane far thinner than a single sheet of tissue paper. This is the interface where the world outside meets the river within. Here, in this silent, moist space, the fundamental exchange of life takes place. Fact 115. Through that impossibly thin membrane, a simple, passive trade occurs. Oxygen, drawn in with your last breath, diffuses from the air in the alveoli into the oxygen-starved blood in the capillaries. Simultaneously, carbon dioxide, the waste product of your body's metabolism, diffuses from the blood back into the alveoli, ready to be carried away with your next exhalation. It is a silent, ceaseless barter. This exchange transforms the very color and character of your blood. Fact 116. Blood entering the lungs through the pulmonary arteries is dark, bluish-red, having given its oxygen to your body's cells. After its journey through the alveolar capillaries, having been replenished with oxygen, it returns to the heart through the pulmonary veins as bright scarlet red. The heart then sends this revitalized river on its journey, a vibrant current of renewed life. But their connection is more than just this physical bridge. It is a rhythmic, physiological dance. Fact 117. The heart and breath are locked in a gentle, rhythmic embrace, known as respiratory sinus arrhythmia. As you inhale, your heart rate naturally and subtly quickens. As you exhale, it gently slows. This is not an error, but a sign of a healthy, responsive nervous system. It is the heart listening to the rhythm of the breath and harmonizing its own tempo accordingly. This dance is orchestrated by the same quiet conductor we have met before. Fact 118. The vagus nerve is the primary channel for this conversation. During exhalation, it sends stronger signals to the heart's pacemaker, encouraging it to slow down. This intimate link is why deep, slow breathing is so calming. It directly engages this natural break, encouraging the heart to find a more peaceful, restful rhythm. Their partnership is a masterpiece of shared responsibility. Fact 119. The right side of the heart is specifically designed for this pulmonary partnership. The right ventricle is a thinner-walled, more compliant pump, perfect for creating just enough pressure to push blood through the delicate, low-resistance network of the lungs without causing damage. It is a gentle handoff, perfectly suited to its delicate task, and this entire elegant system exists to serve a single constant demand. Fact 120. Every minute, at rest, you breathe in and out roughly 12 times. and your heart beats about 70 times. In that same minute, through the silent work of the alveolar membranes, your blood will exchange approximately 250 milliliters of oxygen and 200 milliliters of carbon dioxide. This is the quiet, metabolic background hum of your existence, the precise balance that keeps you alive and conscious. So as you lie in the quiet tonight, become aware of your own breathing. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your chest, the soft passage of air. And now feel the pulse in your neck or your wrist. These are not two separate rhythms. They are one. The breath is the bellows that refreshes the blood. The heart is the pump that carries that refreshment to every corner of your being. One brings the gift from the outside world, the other delivers it to your inner universe. They are partners in the most fundamental sense, two halves of a single, life-sustaining cycle. Let your next slow, deep exhalation be a signal to your heart. Feel the space that follows, the gentle slowing, the shared quiet. Your heart and your lungs are old friends, working in a synchronized, effortless ballet within the cradle of your ribs. They are the rhythm of giving and receiving, of taking in and letting go. And as you drift to sleep, their harmonious duet becomes the softest, most reliable lullaby, a promise that you are continuously being renewed with every breath and with every beat. We have seen the heart as a pump, a self-repairing organ, and a cultural icon. But there is one more layer to its mystery, one that we feel in our very bones, the heart as a barometer of our inner world. It does not beat in a vacuum of biology. It is a string that resonates to the touch of every feeling. Tonight, we explore the heart's deep, intuitive wisdom, how it is shaped by, and in turn, shapes our emotions and state of mind. We have all felt it. The sudden, thrilling leap of the heart at a surprise of joy. The heavy, leaden thud of grief. The frantic, fluttering panic of fear. These are not just metaphors. They are physiological events, a direct conversation between your mind and your muscle. This conversation is made possible by a dense, two-way network of nerves, a dedicated hotline between the heart and the brain. Fact 149. The heart is equipped with its own intricate nervous system, often called the heart-brain or the intrinsic cardiac nervous system. This network of over 40,000 neurons allows it to process information, learn, remember, and feel independently. It is in constant dynamic dialogue with the brain in your head, but it possesses its own unique form of intelligence. The primary channel for this dialogue is the remarkable vagus nerve. Fact 150. The vagus nerve is the central conduit of the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's rest and digest state. When you feel safe, calm, and connected, the vagus nerve is active, whispering to the heart to slow down, to soften its rhythm, to enter a state of restorative coherence. It is the physical expression of peace. Conversely, when the mind perceives a threat, the body unleashes a chemical symphony of alarm. Fact 151. The emotions of fear and stress trigger the release of adrenaline and cortisol. These hormones prepare the body for action. They cause the SA node to fire more rapidly, making the heart race. They increase the force of each contraction, readying the body to fight or flee. This is the heart responding to the mind's urgent story. But the heart is not just a passive recipient of the brain's commands. It speaks back, and the brain listens intently. Fact 152. The rhythmic patterns of your heartbeat are constantly sent as neural signals to your brain, particularly to regions involved in perception, cognition, and emotional processing. A coherent, steady rhythm promotes calm and focused states in the brain. A chaotic, erratic rhythm can foster feelings of anxiety and brain fog. The heart's rhythm literally helps to shape your emotional reality. This is where the poetry of the heart finds its grounding in biology. Fact 1. 153. The feeling of heartache or a broken heart is neurologically real. Intense emotional distress can disrupt the brain's control over the heart, leading to a condition called Takotsubo cardiomyopathy, or broken heart syndrome. It stuns the heart muscle, causing a temporary weakening that mimics a heart attack. It is a stark physical manifestation of how deeply our emotional and cardiovascular systems are entwined. The heart's wisdom is also written in the beautiful, variable spaces between its beats. Fact 154. As we've learned, a high heart rate variability, HRV, is a sign of a healthy, resilient system. It reflects a heart that can fluidly adapt to changing circumstances. This includes emotional circumstances. When you are able to navigate a stressful situation and then return to calm, your HRV reflects that flexibility. It is a measure of your heart's and your mind's emotional capacity. Positive emotions, too, have a direct and measurable effect on the heart's function. Fact 155. Feelings of gratitude, compassion and love have been shown to increase HRV and create a smooth, coherent heart rhythm pattern. This state, called psychophysiological coherence, is associated with reduced stress, improved cognitive function, and greater emotional stability. The simple, conscious act of feeling care or appreciation can literally harmonize the rhythm of your heart. This dialogue begins at the very dawn of life, in the sanctuary of the womb. Fact 1. 156. A developing fetus is bathed not only in its mother's blood, but in the biochemical echoes of her emotions. A mother's stress hormones, as well as her calm, oxytocin-induced states, can cross the placenta and influence the developing rhythm and nervous system of her child's heart. Our first lessons in the heart's connection to emotion are learned in that dark, warm, resonant space. And so, the ancient intuition that the heart is a seat of wisdom is not entirely wrong. Fact 1. 157. The heart sends far more signals to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. This constant rhythmic input influences our perceptions, decisions, and reactions. In a very real way, we do think with our hearts. Our gut feelings are often, physiologically, our heart feelings, a deep, intuitive knowing that arises from this heart-brain dialogue. So, as you lie in the quiet tonight, listen to your heart, not just as a pump, but as a partner in your emotional life. It is not separate from your joy or your sorrow. It shares in them, expresses them, and helps you move through them. Your heart is a wise old friend. It knows the weight of grief and the lightness of joy. It has carried you through every feeling you have ever had. It is the physical anchor of your emotional experience. Let this knowledge bring a sense of integration. You are not a mind carried by a body. You are a unified being where thought and feeling, brain and heart are in constant sacred conversation. As you drift to sleep, you can gently guide this conversation. A slow, deep breath, a memory of a moment of peace, a feeling of gratitude for this faithful feeling heart. And in response, you may feel its rhythm soften, its pace gentle, as it answers your mind's quiet call for rest. It is the final, beautiful truth of the heart. It is not only the keeper of your life, but the keeper of your feelings. A wise, rhythmic, and deeply feeling companion for your journey. And so we have come to the end of our quiet journey. We have traced the heart's path from a single spark in the darkness of the womb to the wise feeling companion that beats within your chest at this very moment. We have mapped its chambers, listened to its electrical lullaby, and learned the language of its pressure and flow. Now, as we conclude, let us not see an end, but a completion. A final, gentle meditation on the eternal rhythm that is the story of a life. From its first, fluid flutter to its last, soft sigh, the heart's journey is the journey of you. It is the most intimate biography written not in words, but in pulses. It began as a whisper, a tiny twisting tube in a warm, dark sea discovering its own rhythm through a spark of automatic motion. It learned to loop and fold, to build its chambers and its gentle doors, all while moving slowly toward the center of your being. It was the first to announce your presence, a faint, whooshing signal on a monitor, a secret shared between you and the universe. It grew with you. In childhood, its rhythm was quick and light, a rapid patter matching the bright moments of discovery. In the rush of youth, it learned to pound with the wild energy of passion and movement. It raced with first loves, swelled with pride, and quickened with ambition. It was the drum for the grand unfolding march of your life. Through the steady years of adulthood, it settled into its patient, reliable labor. Beating 100,000 times a day, it became the quiet, constant companion through calm mornings and busy days. It powered your thoughts, your walks, your laughter, and your reflections. It was the quiet hero in the background, the steady hum beneath the music of your experiences, and in these later, quieter reflections we come to understand its rhythm not just as a function, but as a deep conversation. It is a dialogue between the thoughts of the mind and the feelings of the heart, between the tide of the breath and the flow of the blood. It is a rhythm that can be rushed by anxiety, soothed by gratitude, broken by grief, and healed by peace. It carries the weight of every emotion you have ever known, a loyal witness to the entirety of your inner world. We have seen that this heart is not a still monument. It is a living, renewing landscape. It is cared for by its own garden of arteries, protected by its gentle layer of fluid, and constantly repaired by a silent, tireless workforce of cells. It is a slow river of renewal, replacing itself piece by piece over a lifetime, yet always remaining, mysteriously, entirely you. And now we arrive at the final, quiet truth. The rhythm that began will, one day, end. The loyal drummer will rest. The final beat will be a soft, single note of silence. A rest that follows the last gentle lub-dub. But this is not a failure. It is a completion. It is the natural closing of a circle that began with that first spark. The heart does not strive for endless life. It strives for faithfulness. It promises to beat for as long as it can, and it keeps that promise with a constancy that is the purest form of loyalty. So, as you lie in the quiet now, let your awareness rest gently on your own heartbeat. Do not analyze it. Do not count it. Simply listen to it as you would listen to the sound of the ocean or the wind moving through trees. This rhythm is your own personal, eternal rhythm. It is the rhythm that connected you to your mother before you were born. It is the rhythm that has powered every step, every thought, every love of your life. It is the rhythm that has been your most faithful companion. It is the sound of life itself, playing its patient, beautiful song within the fortress of your ribs. A song that is both timeless and fleeting, universal and deeply yours. Let this rhythm now be your anchor. Let it slow your thoughts. Let it deepen your breath. Feel quiet gratitude for this silent, lifelong labor of love. The story of the heart is the story of perfect, devoted service. It begins in a spark, unfolds in billions of beats, and concludes in peaceful, well-earned rest. But for now, in this moment, it is still here, beating, a gentle, steady pulse in the dark, a quiet drum in the night, an eternal rhythm for as long as it is needed. And with that, we thank you for listening, and we wish you a peaceful, restful night.